Hey everyone, this is Victor from Cyborg for Life, and I want to welcome you to episode 147 of Limb Lengthening Live, where the patients interview the guests. And today we're doing our first open mic roundtable of 2025. So if you're interested to talk limb lengthening, come on the panel. The link is in the description. But today we have two guests joining us, Master Distractor and Natalie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. So hold on. Let me just change this view. It's all up in my face. So there we go. We can kind of sit us back a little bit. All right. So yeah, what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of talk to the Master Distractor first. He's a prospective patient. And then we'll talk to Natalie briefly because she is a current limb lengthening patient doing it. Well, she's finished lengthening, but she's consolidating now. And then if you guys have any questions in the chat, we'll answer those and then we'll call it. All right. Hey, Ben Mendoza, we got him here. He's here, the moderator. All right, cool. All right, MD. So how's the prep for your limb lengthening surgery going?
I mean, it's busy. Just trying to book. I mean, I got the accommodations booked, got the flights booked, just, researching where to stay and all that stuff. I got a support person after all the recommendations from I think on the last past lives, I think Natalie was talking about support and nail legs to support people. And I think you dropped a video about getting prepared. So finally convinced me to, just get a support person. And, getting all that prepared, and hopefully in very soon I will have broken legs.
Did you hire out for the caregiver?
No, my mom is able to come. So.
Awesome, very cool. That's the best.
But it's a difficult thing to get her in in terms of I don't know. It's telling your family and all that stuff. It's not an easy process, but I think I just show her your videos and documentaries, and then just showing her those things and knowing that other people are doing it. I think calms her down. So that's helpful.
Absolutely. No, I think that's one reason why I think creating educational content like what I do, and then some of the surgeons, it's just it's super helpful because then you can kind of say, see, here's what people do, or this is what it's about, and you can explain it in easier terms. So that's awesome, man.
She won't believe me. It's just think I'm crazy, right? So it's just when she says other people are also doing it, and they're all fine kind of deal, and they're all going through the same thing, it's much easier to show other people that this is, because when you talk about it, or when I talk about it, it just seems like this weird crazy thing that only I because it's not such a common thing. But when you show other people are also doing it, it's easier for people to believe that it is not totally insane. So that really helps to get people on board when you really need them for that support, when you need it for the first couple of weeks at least.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, I think that one of the most important things about this whole thing is just having that conviction that you, for yourself, right? To go through it, it's you want to share it with other people close in your inner close circle and whatnot. But a lot of times, if they don't believe and support you, it's just you just got to believe, that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's hard. It's hard because it's you don't know. And there's anything can happen.
I was very convinced of doing this myself. Most of my head is I'm just gonna do this myself, but then it's maybe a bit easier if I get someone. So that's why totally finally got someone. But I was very convinced in going by myself, and my surgeon's not gonna let me use a wheelchair, so it'll be even more difficult by going by myself. So that's it's gonna be.
Did you find out why she doesn't like to use the wheelchair? Because I think that I know why, but I just want to hear it from you.
It's for to reduce pulmonary embolisms, I believe, or to make sure that you keep blood flowing. But I don't know exactly for sure. But I think it's mostly just to reduce risk of complications. To make sure you're active.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. That's just to reduce blood clotting.
Okay.
That's as far as I understand, but I could be wrong.
I feel like,
but you can it's not, you're not completely forced to not use one. You can if you want, but it's highly recommended that you don't. At least in the place I'm going. But yeah, like I think I've spoken to a few other, I've been in contact with a patient recently, and they're mostly been walking with crutches and walker throughout the entire process. So I mean, they seem to be doing fine. So I think I'll probably just go do what they do.
That's the way to do it, man. It's like following the footsteps of those who've done it before you. So
Yeah.
obviously just know that it might be a little bit different, but yeah, absolutely. That's very cool. Well, I am super excited for you, MD. And then obviously we'll help have you come on the show and talk to you a lot throughout the process. So kind of like we're going to talk to Natalie here in a second, because she has some updates for us, I'm sure.
Yeah, I do. Max, can I ask a question to MD?
Yeah.
Oh, so where are you doing the surgery?
Right now, it's a bit weird, and I need to get confirmation before I say stuff, because it's gotten really weird up where I am.
You were to go to Montreal.
And I just don't want to.
Yeah, I hear you.
So it's very weird right now. It's not the. I don't know. It's people are getting involved in other people's bodies, kind of deal. It's really stupid, and I just don't want to, say things that.
For sure. Do you have a backup plan if they're not able to do it?
I'm doing it, right. Like I'm already booked and everything, so I'm very, very. That's why I'm saying I don't want to say anything until I get a confirmation about publicly saying anything, which is, this is a public place, right? So but yeah, I mean, it'll be very, very, very unlikely that things will happen, because I already paid. Everything's already, like, I'm just filling out like questionnaires and stuff right now. And like, it'd be very unlikely that it won't happen. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's exciting.
I know.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
That's what you want to ask. So Natalie, I like how you redirected that, but she's smooth. But we got it. Okay. All right, guys, we're gonna answer some of these questions.
Until I get confirmation, then I'd be like, whatever, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't realize.
It seems like I shouldn't. I'm a bit cautious.
I didn't realize. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's answer some of these questions in the chat. Josiane, hey, how are you? It's been a while. You've been busy. Life has been busy. Hopefully in a good way. That's great. Hey, Ben, thanks for moderating. All right, so we have a question from the protagonist. We've established that internal femur lengthening has a higher risk of fat embolisms than external tibia, but some surgeons say that the risks of DVT pulmonary embolisms are the same for both. Well, I think you might be talking about the LON on the tibia, because if there's an internal nail with the external fixator, then the risk would be the same. Otherwise, if it's an external fixator, purely just the X-fix, it would be lower for the tibia, because you're not reaming out the internal canal. So, yeah, so that is that answer. Let's see here. Yeah, you can ask your questions here, the boys' turf. Let's see. Is he asking a question? So he says, however, given that the external fixator allows us to walk and be more mobile right off the bat, should we also carry less risk? Yeah, that too. I think that just, brings up the battle of external fixator versus internal nail. Let's ask Natalie why she chose the internal nail.
I think right away, external fixators, the risk of infection is quite a lot higher. And you also have pretty terrible scarring on your legs. So those are two major things to consider when going for external fixator. If you can afford to do an internal fixator, I think that would be the way to go, just for those two things right there.
Yeah, I actually think that you're almost guaranteed a surface level skin infection from an external fixator. Like, maybe not deep bone infection like osteomyelitis, but I think that almost all the patients that I've talked to with the X-Fix have had to run some course of antibiotics throughout their course of lengthening. So just know that if you do go X-Fix or LON or something like that, you will probably need to take some sort of antibiotic. So,
and I don't know, can you shower when you have an external fixator? I don't,
but
yeah.
you can't use soap and stuff.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I loved being in the pool, and I loved, having a bath even now during consolidation.
Yeah. That's a huge benefit as well. Yep.
I think I asked a surgeon about that too. He said yes, but I think it depends. Like I probably can't take a bath or a pool for sure. But
Yeah.
I think you can
rinse.
As far as from what I understood, you can shower, but definitely not pools.
Yeah, you can't submerge, but you can like rinse from the shower, so you can like wash and be careful. But there's limitations, and then also the mobility, right? Like it's this external frame, so it does limit your mobility. If you're doing femur lengthening, I mean, it's going to get in the way. And if you're doing tibia lengthening, if it's a circular ring fixator, it's different. It definitely, there's some benefits, pros and cons, so for sure. But
I mean, I would love to walk. I'm 4 months post surgery, and I'm just dying to walk. I can't wait to walk.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I have a feeling that in the next 5 to 6 weeks you'll be very happy, because sometimes it's weird. It's kind of like fat loss. Like I'm in a fat loss diet right now, and some weeks like it just goes really slow, and then all of a sudden you get a whoosh effect. It just plummets. You lose 3 pounds. It's the same thing with bone healing. Sometimes it's just like for 4 to 6 weeks it's like slow, and then all of a sudden your body's like, we're not lengthening anymore. Let's change course. Let's get that osteoblast activity in that gap, and then boom, you get this proliferation of regenerate, and then you start healing like crazy. So I think that you're going to probably find that out soon, because when did you stop lengthening?
Well, yeah, for those who are listening, I just sent Victor my first x-rays after consolidation. So I stopped, my last turn was exactly 4 weeks ago yesterday, so a month.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of freaking out about what looks to me as extremely slow bone growth versus my peers that were around the same time as me.
And that's possible. I mean, definitely comparing to somebody else, it's going to be something, but I think 4 weeks, usually a typical fracture, even if you just take that 6 to 8 weeks, right? So you're not even, you got at least 2 to 4 more before you can see like solid consolidation. Hopefully, let's fingers crossed, but we'll talk more about that. But anyway,
I'm just going to eat supplements all day.
That's
collagen, bone broth, bone marrow.
She's just going to be drinking them down.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about this, that's true about the X-Fix. You can walk right away, so it does help lower the risk of PE as well. So yes, but you got to just specify: is it X-Fix purely, or is it a LON? Because that does change the conversation. Excuse me.
I think one more thing to say about pulmonary embolism. I was also very freaked out about fat embolism, and then of course pulmonary. And I did my surgery with Dr. Robbins, and he was pretty clear that if there is a sign of fat embolism, they pretty much have a sign during the surgery. And so, at 24 hours post-surgery, you're in the clear for fat embolism. Yep. For pulmonary embolism, they keep us on Xarelto. I'm still on Xarelto, so we're all on blood thinners. I think the chance of, I'm not sure what the data is. You would know, Victor, better than me. But I think if you're moving and you're on the Xarelto, I think it really lowers the chances of PE. And I don't think it should be that much of a concern, in my opinion.
It's very low. If you're doing bilateral, quadrilateral, a little different, but like bilaterally, it's very low. If you're moving around, you're on some sort of blood thinner. It's I think it's sub 2% or something like that. Maybe even lower. So, okay. Somebody was on here and then they hopped off. But anyway,
I have a question
go ahead.
Once you guys are done, maybe the patient questions. Maybe we can put it at the end, or that's now for blood thinners and supplementation with some of the supplements I was looking at. Is that an issue at all with vitamin K2?
I'm not
sure. Because some of the, like even the ones I was like Bone Maximizer, that's the one you're recommending, right? And then some of the ones that I was looking at that the other guys are doing, Bone Up. A lot of those to improve calcium in uptake or the absorption, they put vitamin K2 in, and it says there's a blood thinner risk. So that's why I've been researching, trying to figure out if it's safe to take.
Do you know what the statistic is on that? Like what the?
No, I have no idea. Okay. It just says on the label. It just says on the label to if you are taking on blood thinners, let the doctor know. Yeah. So I'm actually just going to ask my surgeon about it very soon. But yeah, it's just something I was trying to figure out.
Usually, the levels of vitamin K2 that you would take in supplement form wouldn't be max potency. So if you didn't go ahead and get a pure K2 of like the most bioavailable version that's at max potency, like almost like toxicity level, then you should be fine. Like I'm gonna, when I do my supplement video, I'm gonna have like some research intertwined in there from like examine.com is like one of the best places you can get information on stuff. So they'll talk about contraindications and whatnot. So I think that's the place that, I'm going to look into. But yeah, I don't think you have any worries because I took it and I think Natalie was taking it.
I was taking Advil, like even worse. I was taking Advil,
she's alive.
Well, during, after 3 days after surgery, I realized I was allergic to Tylenol because they put you on liquid Tylenol. I was getting rashes all over my body. And then maybe a week after, I was taking, pill form, and I was getting full body rashes. And so I couldn't take Tylenol. So I had to take Advil. So
gotcha.
I think the risk is very low for, the blood thinning. They say to not take fish oil and things like that a month before surgery. And then in terms of supplementation, I think once you're at 3 centimeters, that's when you start supplementing because you're going to break your bones. Then you're going to be in, discomfort for a week. And and you're going to be, trying to walk on your walker, and you don't really start lengthening for a week. And then you don't really have much of a gap there until about 3 centimeters where you can really see it on the x-ray. And then at that point, in my opinion, then it's like, okay, supplementation time.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think that the only supplements you should preload are the ones that I talked about. I shot a video a few weeks ago, like those collagen, vitamin C, like those 1-2 punch combo, vitamin D3, you should be taking that whether you're doing lengthening or not. That's just a health pro hormone. And it helps. And then, the calcium if you're planning to, but that you don't have to take calcium until like you said, you need to. You can get a lot of this from your diet, but supplementation is helpful. But we'll talk more about that. But yeah, after lengthening, I actually say I do agree with you. The buffer gap, it's like your body's going through this massive inflammatory response. So if you give it a little bit of breathing room, it's like the uptake and the absorption is just a little bit more efficient. So I usually say 2 to 3 weeks. Like, yeah, when you get through that post-surgical inflammatory phase is best. So we got Richard on the show. Hey, Richard, how are you?
Oh, hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm considering getting a cosmetic limb lengthening procedure, so I just want to sort of listen to people's experiences and stuff.
Very cool, man. Well, thanks for joining. Yeah, we're just going through some of the questions in the live chat, and then we got a patient who's doing it right now, and one's going to do it soon. So you're smack dab in the sandwich there. All righty. So let's see. This next question here from the Boys Turf. What do you all know about the future of weight-bearing nails?
Well,
Natalie, let me have this one.
Yeah, I don't think that I'll say it so Victor doesn't have to. I don't think that the PMAX will be available this year. They do say July, but I think I said this on an episode a week or two back where there was a voluntary recall by Globus in November 2024 or September 2024. And then in November 2024, it was recalled by the FDA, the PMAX nail that everyone keeps asking about. And I was actually due to have the PMAX as well. And I was faced with the choice to wait till July 2025, or I had already carved out the time. I've already, paid the deposit. For me, really, there was no choice. I had to go and do it. And I'm really glad I did it. It seems like, in my opinion, if you were to logically think about it, the rumors are allegedly that the nail wasn't lengthening. Okay, there were more than one patient where it wasn't lengthening. So now you've got the FDA recall in November 2024. Now let's logically think about it. Now, in what world would a company be able to turn around, turn that around? They'd have to have, they have to look at the engineering of the nail. They have to determine why numerous nails weren't lengthening. And there may have been some other issues with early onset nerve issues. We're not sure. I'm not sure about that, but I had heard that from numerous people. And so for the PMAX nail to be in that position, to logically think about a company to be able to turn it around from November through to July, it doesn't really make logical sense. I think we're looking at 2026 sometime. That's my opinion. It's nothing based off anything except for just looking at it like that.
Yeah. Well, I do think, to their credit, they do have the blueprint of the device. It in terms of weight bearing capacity, the engineering is there. It did work for weight bearings, for that purpose. I think you're right. They just need to look into whatever the issue was, and then once they correct that, hopefully they'll get the regulatory check, the thumbs up, and then it'll be back out.
I think also, like, why do you, with something else, like, must you have a full weight bearing rails? Because when you're on those, you still, you still need to be on assisted devices. And
well, there is quite a bit of reasons why. But anyway, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, like, that's one thing. Like, I was thinking of getting it, like, waiting for that too. But you still need to be on that. And for me personally, I would just trust the reliability of what you have currently, versus taking a new risk with the new nail is something that I didn't want to do.
The thing about weight bearing nails, at least this one in particular, like it was pretty strong, and I think it's for the sense of security, because a lot of times you technically, depending on your weight, right, your body weight, you don't need the assistance. You can technically ambulate without the walker or the crutches, but you should have them in case you stumble and fall, because then you'll have a real problem. So I think that in terms of, like, does it keep the muscle more active? Does it keep your stabilizer muscles, like I said, active the whole lengthening process? Yes. So that makes you have a more normalized walk so much sooner. So it just fast tracks the time from lengthening to normality so much quicker. I think it's literally a 2-month difference, depending on the patient, of course. All right, so we have another patient on here. Hello, David. How are you? Okay, maybe he's just listening, but that's fine. All righty, so we got that question out of the way. So yeah, that was Natalie's take. That was my take. That was MD's take. So we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. But I don't know, that company Globus, they're tricky, aren't they? We'll see.
I think I gotta agree with Master Distractor. I wouldn't want to be among the first 100 nails with a new nail. You've got Precise 2.0. It's worked
Thousands.
for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I heard some stories about people who had the PMAX nail. It didn't lengthen. They had to have a second surgery, get it replaced. I don't want to be in that. I don't want that happening to me. So it's also just something to consider. Exactly what Master Distractor said.
Very true. Yeah, tried and true works. P2 has been there.
Yep.
So okay, here he is. Hey, David, how are you?
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. How's it going?
Good. It's been a while. I don't know if you remember me. I had the PMAX done, and I was just.
Oh, you did have the PMAX.
Yeah, it's been. I had it on.
Oh yes, I remember you. It's crazy. I have like a photographic memory, but I can't see you, so I just hear you. An audiographic memory. But anyway, let's talk about your experience, because we were just talking about weight bearing nails. So, tell us about your process with the PMAX.
I mean, listening to everyone else, I can tell it's a blessing. Not only because I, due to some injuries, I end up gaining a lot of weight, and so, I even though I was, walking, I still struggled. So I can't even imagine not being able to, like, walk, from the Airbnb to the to anywhere, right? I even go into like a fitness club place, go into the pool, and I'm pretty heavy. I was like 190. I'm the heaviest, and people who were helping me, I can't even imagine like having to go through a wheelchair. So it's definitely a blessing. But I'll be honest, I did experience a malfunction towards the end, where every time I did the X-ray, there was a little discrepancy of about 4 to 5 millimeters. So what ended up happening is, I don't even think I got the 8 centimeters. I think I stopped around 7.4, because one of the nails I think might have malfunctioning and wasn't like fully extending. The great thing about it is it was towards the end and not towards like the middle. So throughout this time, I did not know that this was happening until pretty much now that it's starting to come up. But that was my experience. Overall, it was a positive experience. The fact that I was walking throughout all the time. I definitely would never have done it without the weight bearing nail. It's great. It's definitely something to think about.
Can we ask you a little bit more about your walking? Because I think there's a little misconception about like what does it mean to walk with a weight bearing nail?
It depends on your pain tolerance. So while I was doing in the first month, you barely walk, right? You still have, even if you could walk, you're still using crutches and like canes, anything like that. But there were some times where I felt good, especially if I took like an oxycodone, where I could walk for 5 to 10 minutes. And you would still waddle, but you're walking. I mean, you could fool some people. Now, as you know, I was back so my surgery was in June. I was back home. I live in Orlando. I was back home around like sometime in October, and I was walking. You know what I mean? I was tolerated with pain, so I never really stopped walking. And after a month, around like November, December, I just went around life, and I still feel tight, especially if I sit, because I do work in an office, so I sit all the time. And every time I sit, I have to stand up. I still feel like the muscles, tightness. But after 20 minutes of constantly walking, then it feels better and it feels normal. So I mean, to me, I'm back to like normal life, except for the tightness here and there. For me, it's been a few months now.
So when you started walking in the fall, was your walk pretty normal by October, November?
No, you could still tell a waddle.
Okay.
Yeah, people around me could tell if something is off. You're still walking like stiff.
Mm.
Even now, there's I'm maybe like 90% there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true, especially I heard people say that it's the more effort you put this into going back, that's what counts. So because I work during taxes and I'm having to sit a lot, and because of that, it's likely that's why I haven't been able to reach like a normal walk yet.
Right.
But I have seen other people who maybe they're less busy, they spend an hour or two still stretching. I feel like they would come up, they probably recover a lot faster than I would. But I mean, I live a normal life. I go dancing, jogging here and there, so it's almost like back to normal, even though I still have residual tightness.
Did you say jogging?
Yeah.
Wow. So you're
Like,
jogging at like 8 months in, or like 9 months in, right?
Yeah, but just light jogging, nothing crazy. Maybe like 5 minutes. I'm not risking it until I get
Of course.
The clear.
That's cool, man. You got so you almost got you got over 3 inches. You get a little bit like 74 millimeters, and you're back to normal life, dancing, jogging and stuff, even though a little bit of residual tightness, but that's because you sit a lot. But that sounds like you're very happy with the process.
Yeah, and I think that's due to the fact of the weight bearing nail.
Okay.
I mean, I think that it does help you to accommodate a better life, working and just being normal. When I hear stories like just now of having to be in a wheelchair, I mean, I've been in a wheelchair before because I was in an injury, and I could tell you, it's really like you get depressed just being in a wheelchair over a month. So imagine being 3-4 months, having been done already lengthened and still having to wait to walk. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry for I'm sorry that the PMAX is that, but it's I don't realize until now what a blessing it was.
He's like suckers. Like no.
Can I ask like what nail, what clinic, and which bones?
It's the Florida. It's with Dr. Paley. I guess Dr. Robbins. It was the PMAX. I think I got 2 different sizes because I was one of the few people that got in the last batch. So I technically my the 2 nails, even though the diameter are the same, the length of the nails were different because they didn't have pairs. So I was pretty much I was the last appointment that they had, and they didn't even have a complete set of nails, so they had to mix and match the length, size, but the diameters were the same. I think the diameters were the middle ones, if I recall.
Probably the 11 or something.
Yeah, 11.5, something like that.
11.5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're a bit bigger than the precise 2.2, right?
They have a 10, 11.5, a 13, and a 14.
Yeah, but they didn't have a 13 and 14 because because I was 190, so I was right around that corner because they told me the max weight that I could done was 200, and initially I was 175, but because of like injuries, whatever, I gained to 190, and they warned me that 200 is the max. So, and they didn't have anything else because they would have offered me because I, for safety, but they didn't have. I don't think anyone had anything above 11.5, as I recall it.
So there was a little bit of a shortage and then other issues. Oh, interesting. Wow. That's incredible. Richard, do you have more questions?
Yeah, that was all I was gonna ask to David. It sounds like yeah, he had a good experience, but maybe your good experience was a bit of a fluke because it seems like there are some problems with the nails, and a lot of people probably kind of got fucked over by it.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, my peers, I had, while I was lengthening, there were 3 other individuals in my cohort, and none of them had issues with the nails. I was the only one because I asked them all the time. Now, that doesn't mean anyone before it, because I don't think that's the only thing. I don't think they were very transparent with us, with our patients, right? It wasn't maybe I'm not going to put people under the bus, but I did hear, now I'm starting to hear, oh, there was an issue here. They had to, put in another nail. But fortunately for the 3 of us who did it at that same time, we didn't have any issues. I mean, I had an issue towards the end, but technically it ended up being something more correctable because one of the nails was still growing. So, it wasn't growing as fast, but somehow I was able to kind of match it. Or maybe I had a little bit of discrepancy, very small, that it was okay, even if it was a little bit off. So it turned out to be okay. But thank God, like for me, it wasn't that the nails were not working at all. But I did have a little bit of that issue towards the end because to me, it wasn't making sense that as I grew one of my legs, as I was growing, I noticed that the gap was continuing to increasing. And I was asking him, why is that? Like I'm doing the same on one leg on the other. And so we ended up just pretty much putting one of the other ones, the one that was up ahead, going backwards for a few millimeters just to level it out. And now I know why. It's because the right one was likely not working anymore. So now, but the good thing it happened towards the end. So,
did you get all the length you wanted, or you just like, hey, it stopped working, I'm done anyway, or did you want more?
I was going very slow. I was going to 0.75. I wasn't going the whole millimeter a day, and because of that, towards the end, I just got really tired. That when I stood up with shoes and everything, I was just happy with the height. That the numbers didn't really mean anything. Like, you know what I mean? Going from I think I got 7.4, so 7.4 to 8. Those 6 millimeters. When I looked at the mirror, I was like, it's not worth it, man. I'm just tired. I just want to go home.
Wait, what was your height before and after?
So I was 5'6", 166, and I am close to 175 or 175 anytime I pretty much do it. So it's not accurate, but every time I see it, it's pretty much like 5'9" now.
Do you have any kind of problems with your biomechanics now if you only lengthen one segment?
No, I lengthened both segments. I don't
I
have any.
see.
Oh, you mean like femur? Just femur wise?
Yeah, like discrepancy between femur and tibia length.
You know what? I haven't done. I was a former soccer player. I haven't played soccer yet, so I can't really tell you yet. Because the only thing I can know for dancing purposes, I don't feel any difference. Walking wise, I don't really feel any differences, other than the stiffness. But I haven't jumped and played like in sprinted, so I can't really tell you like whether that is I'm going to feel it then, because I haven't done any explosive movement, so I don't know yet. But if you're sedentary and you just pretty much just live a normal life, walk, go to the gym, maybe jog, maybe dance, and I dance like salsa and bachata, and then you won't feel. I don't feel anything different. But I do feel like if I go to explosive sports, if I start doing running and cross running, maybe I will feel a little bit of a disadvantage there. But I won't know until the summer.
That's awesome, man. Wow, that was really cool because we haven't talked to many precise max patients. So, thank you, David. That was very valuable. Any more, Richard?
Yeah, so I've been looking into the Betz clinic in Germany. It seems like it's pretty controversial, and it's not something that you would recommend. Can you explain why you don't recommend that clinic?
That's the way to just like.
I could step in for you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, MD. Well, I mean, like, I don't want to, like, again, publicly, talk about any clinic in particular in any negative way, but go ahead, MD.
So, I mean, I don't like saying negative things about clinics either, but it just seems from what I heard on the Discord, on Victor's Discord, and from all the patients, they just seem to have not as good bone growth, and they're not consolidating enough, and you're just leaving a gap there, right? And you're having just the implants support you, and you have to go do future surgeries to do bone grafts, and I mean, it just seems like a lot of work, and also the bets there. It is full weight bearing. However, like, it's not worth it, right? Your bones are not healed in the future, so you have to do more surgeries to get that fixed. And also the stroke length, and they have a very high stroke length on it. It's like 12 centimeters, I believe. But I don't think that advertised stroke length many people reach at all. It's usually the same as the precise or less. So if you're getting seduced by the stroke length, it just, based on all the patient experiences I've seen, no one really gets there. And even if you want to get there, that's really high. Like I know there's a patient that came on live. I forgot his name, but I think last year he got up to 10. I think he seemed to be happy with it, but even getting to 10 centimeters, that's a bit insane, right? And none of at least insane in terms of what compared to what people get in North America, and none of the North American surgeons recommend going that high, right? So I don't know, like, it just seems maybe the only thing really going for it is the weight bearing thing, but everything else is
So there's been issues with like bones not consolidating with this clinic.
I think you look at the type of device. I think that's my biggest thing. It's you look at the standardization of the device. Why that's the only clinic that uses it. Don't get me wrong, it's a durable implant, but if it can't go backwards, and one thing that all surgeons like to do is have control of your bone. They're bone carpenters, right? So if they can't control a bone and it's too far, then they have to be a little bit more invasive and do something like you said, a bone graft, some sort of surgery. So I think that if you look at that, and you have to either lengthen slower, so it's going to extend your lengthening phase, and then extend your recovery and consolidation phase, or you go too quick, and then now you have a delayed or even a non-union, right? So then you still extend your recovery phase. So it's like, it's different, right? I like standard approaches. It's like it's consistent across the board, what the most reputable surgeons worldwide would use, and that's just kind of my take on that. Again, I'm not bashing any particular surgeon. I'm just saying that the device is my biggest hang up, but that's my opinion.
I was strongly considering going there, and I think I almost did a consult, but after just actually joining the Discord, which was very recent, really, I just heard so many negative things about it. Then I changed my mind. But I was seduced by the language
from actual patients. MD, is that what you're?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Or just reading diaries and just from actual patients.
But there's the thing is, like, some patients have gotten great results. So it's like, I think it's a gamble. It's like, okay, how much of a risk are you willing to take? Because and that goes for a lot of clinics that are, I like to say the word questionable, or like, I don't want to say inexperienced as much anymore, but I think it's like, if the patient is willing to take that gamble, it's like, you get this benefit, but are you going to be lucky enough to get those benefits?
Exactly.
And that's kind of a toss up. So
I think the reliability it's very important to me. And also, I got recently seduced 2 months ago because I just found out about a clinic in here, and I think I trust this place quite a bit. However, I just don't have patient experiences from other people, so I have a hard time trusting that reliability, even at huge substantial price differences. I just feel like, I'm already spending so much money, I might as well just spend a bit more and get a reliable result instead of. It's just like an investment, right? I'm in terms of investments, I'm very low risk. I do not like taking risk, so it's exactly I would just spend a bit more and just make sure the investment is secured reliably. So that's
especially with your body.
So that's how I am. So even though I really want to save money, or I really want more length, it's just the reliability is too much of a risk for me to not take. So
the one thing is like, money can come back, but your legs,
Yeah.
it's like, you got a lot of corrective surgery. But
I think an eye opener was the Brian Sanchez interview with More Plates, More Dates, where he went to the turkey clinic, which I'm sure we're all know what I'm talking about. But it's a 3-hour interview, and I watched it, and I'm like, his interpretation of his surgery is completely based on his experience in Turkey, and he was pointing out that his data was like 73% of patients had to have another surgery. He and himself had 11 surgeries. And another thing he said, just the things he was saying, I was just like, it gives such a wrong view of what the surgery is. And his whole mind and view of it is based off of all these terrible experiences at the clinic he went to.
that is so well said. And that's why we have a lot of work on our hands.
And it really sucks
crazy
because then I have to deal with defending my decision because all we see is all this horrible things, because that's what the most media is. And then when I need support from someone for like a personal thing and I want to talk about it, I can't because it's like such looked down upon because of all these bad things happening. And also it gives my unique situation in terms of things coming down on our heads and saying people can't do this to their body. This could be a reason, right? It could be why just such bad stigma around it, but clinics like this causing such a mess, right? So anyways,
I mean, absolutely. And then you have people with like David who had a fantastic experience. It's like, there's a happy medium. It really does. The reputation of this industry is everything. And I think it comes down to medical ethics, right? Like the ethical code of conduct of these surgeons, these clinics, and what they're willing to tolerate and do for patients. It's like, I think that a lot of surgeons can do the surgery, they can put the implants in, but what they're willing to do to avoid complications of the patients after that, it's a whole nother thing. It's like, oh yeah, we can do that. We promise you this. We can get you that. It's like, versus like, no, I'm not going to do that because you have my reputation on your legs and you walk out of here. That's everything for me. So, cool. Richard, do you have more?
No, I think that if I think of something, I'll ask it. But
cool deal.
Yeah, I've consulted with the German clinic in question, and so I don't know. I might consult Paley as well, just to see what's going on there.
You should definitely talk to a handful of clinics. Like you should never just pick one and then, unless you're absolutely sure and then like they're a good surgeon, you could do that. But like I think it's always good to kind of get have a few choices and then make a list, pros and cons and all this, finances, location, track record of success and all those things, and then you make your decision from there. But yeah, look,
for me the idea of like a non-weight bearing is like a little more intimidating because I don't want to have to be like in a wheelchair or anything like that.
I gotta say, like, I think there's a misconception about the Precise 2. You're really in a wheelchair for 2 weeks. Once you're through the surgery pain, which could be 2 to 3 weeks, you're on the walker. So it's not, I'm 4 months post surgery right now, but I haven't used a wheelchair in months. I'm just on the walker.
I think I'm definitely agreeing with Natalie. Like in the place I'm like, we're not going to be in wheelchairs at all. So
no wheelchairs.
I mean, there's going to be definite challenges, and definitely not going to be walking properly at all. But you're not really stuck in a wheelchair much. I wouldn't say
10 days.
10 days, 14 days. How much do you weigh, Richard?
I'm pretty light, so I'm about 5'8" and around 145 pounds.
You're under, so if your bone canals can handle, let's say you do go with an internal nail, Precise 2 or something like that, then and it's the largest size, like let's say it's the 12.5, you'll be popping around pretty easily after the inflammation goes down. So
Yeah, I think also I'm pretty light too, so maybe that's.
yeah, I remember you talked about massing up. Did you not eat up since we? All right.
I'm massing up now. Yeah.
You are okay.
Yeah, because I mean I got it right, so I gotta make sure my body is fully.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's answer some more of these questions. We'll try to get out of here before the hour. So Josie Ann said, she actually had an X-Fix on her tibia. I remember Josie Ann said, so this is the answer to the question earlier about can you shower with the X-Fix? She could not wet her leg with the X-Fix. So that's a direct answer there. And I don't remember, I think you can just wipe around that. So yeah, that's right. You have to like put like a bag or something around it. So
I think the risk of infection is quite high.
It's quite high. Exactly. Let's get David's take on this. Oh, Ali, I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. Hey, Ali, how are you? You're on the show. Maybe he went for a bathroom break because I was ignoring him. All right. Cosmo Plug is asking, how much is the pain level? David, what was your pain like after your Precise Max surgery? Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they just all stepped away for a second. Natalie.
Pain for me was just not really a thing. The first 10 days, I mean, you're on so much drugs, you're on drip and you're on, oxy and stuff like that. I really don't think there was a point. I think the highest pain point for me was when the nerve pain came. So post-surgery pain was very easy to deal with. You were given the appropriate medicines to deal with that. And then, most people, my peers in my cohort, they were off the oxy within 10 days onto Tylenol. And when the nerve pain came, for me, about 2.5 centimeters, that was that was the pain. And it just came out of nowhere. I remember sleeping one night and I felt like this burning sensation beside my knee, on the inner part of my knee at night. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a weird feeling. I wonder what that is. And then the next day I went to PT and I had a nerve incident where, it just went off. My nerve just went off and it felt like someone had thrown oil on my leg and lit it on fire. And so that was really hard to deal with. And that's usually when they start you on gabapentin. And so, there's really the first warning of the nerve pain is your whole shin going numb. If I were to give some advice, once your shin goes numb, that's probably when you should go on the gabapentin, because the series of events after that is when the nerve really starts getting irritated, it seems. And so the gabapentin, there was a 2-week period, which were my 2 weeks of hell through the experience, was the gabapentin just wasn't working for me. And so I did the surgery at the Paley Institute. I went to see the pain specialist there, and he put me on Lyrica. And in one day, the Lyrica, it muffles the nerve pain. So in one day, the Lyrica got rid of the nerve pain that I had for 2 weeks, that the gabapentin just wasn't working for me. And that is a very rare case. That is a very rare case where the gabapentin doesn't work. Most people, the gabapentin does work.
So your type of pain was more nerve pain, not so much the bone pain or any of that.
No, I think the worst part of the surgery, the experience, was the nerve pain.
Gotcha.
Because, I was trying really hard to stick to 4 turns a day, 1 millimeter a day. You want to get out of there. You're there for 3 months. You want to stick to schedule as much as you can. But I think what I slowly realized is most people don't get to do 1 millimeter a day. Yeah. I think that's way easier on the body and the nervous system to do 0.75.
Gotcha. David, what was your pain like during the lengthening process?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my experience was totally the opposite. I had a really rough time. I had been bulking up my legs prior to going to the surgery. So I was in your podcast, and I remember telling you that the first 3 weeks, the pain was very intolerable if I moved around. And it's likely because I was moving around a lot. And I used all my oxy. I even asked for more, and they wouldn't give it to me, just because I was just in a lot of pain. And then after that, it started to go. Then it was just Tylenol, and then the next big thing for me was not being able to have a good night's sleep, because I'm a side sleeper, and it's really rough to sleep on your side when they're kind of still swollen, because I
I could tell like my legs were very swollen for a long time, and it made physical therapy really hard. But then, I guess everyone's different. Then the next part was pretty much not sleeping, but I never got nerve pain. But the reason probably I never got nerve pain is because I was going 0.75 all the way through. So I ended up almost in 4 months. But the great thing about that is I've never got any nerve pain. I was comfortable throughout the time because I was still working, 8 hours a day still on my computer. And it was just a matter of waiting till it done. But thank God, my other cohort, my other peers did have nerve pain around 4 millimeters, almost 4 centimeters. I never did, and the reason why is probably because I ended up going slow. So it was a good strategy for me.
That is incredibly valuable, and it actually kind of correlates with some research article I found. It was a plastic surgeon. I don't remember her name at the moment, but it talked about nerve regeneration. She dealt with like carpal tunnel stuff, and it talked about the nerves and how much they can regenerate, what the rate is. And she found in her research that they regenerate at about 1 millimeter per day. So if you're lengthening at 1 millimeter per day, you're almost kind of matching up almost identical with what the nerves can keep up with. But if some people just don't regenerate that fast, you might be tugging and creating that irritation. So David was going at 25% less than that, so he's probably safely under the bar of developing nerve pain. So that's very, very interesting. So that's something you might want to think about, Richard. So if you do lengthening and you start lengthening and you start to develop that, you could slow it down, or like Natalie said, get some Lyrica or gabapentin at the sign of shin numbness. So Ali, hey, how are you? All right, seems to be having some issues. All right, let's move on to the next question. We're going to try to crank out some of these questions here. This one's about peptides, it looks like. BPC 157, TBU 500, KPV, and I haven't heard of that last one. But so we actually have a really good podcast with, I think it was one of Dr. Robbins' friends, Dr. Willis. He was on a few weeks ago, it was like in December. Go back. I think it was like episode 143, 142 or something like that. Watch that episode. He is the peptide guy. I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm a natural bodybuilder, so I do know that they do work, and I know how they work roughly, but I just don't want to recommend anything here. But I have heard patients who are taking it, and they swear that it does work in terms of healing. So that's the patient anecdote that I'll give. Let's go down here. So this question, we're going to have Master Distractor. From all his research, he's going to answer this one. Question for the board or anyone who knows about the general serious complication rate for patients undergoing internal nail lengthening at trustworthy clinics. Just a guess. Come on, MD.
Yeah, so at least from my place, I have researched my place for at least 4 years. And I know 4 complications out of all the ones that has been happening for over 10 years. So just 4, and none of them were all recoverable. So in terms of a percentage, I would maybe say that's under 1% or maybe 1%. But even them, they can be serious, but I don't think they were all recoverable. So I think when you go to a trustworthy clinic, it is quite low, but it can rise exponentially if you go to a non-trustworthy clinic. And also if it does happen to you, it's, I think, quoting the person I'm going to, it's 100% you, it happens to you, and that none of these percentages matter because you're the 100% and it happened to you and you got to take care of it. So the best thing is go to a trustworthy place and make sure you have an emergency fund in some way to cover that complication case in case you're not covered, or at least for my case, I have like a line of credit. I don't recommend taking out loans, but at least you have some sort of emergency, some fund in some way to cover yourself. But I think it's quite low. Percentage wise, I don't know for sure. I would guess under 1% or 1%.
Can anyone tell us about the stretching that's required during limb lengthening?
Natalie can. She's still there. Did she run away? She might.
No, I'm here.
Okay. He wants to know about the stretching that's required during lengthening. Richard does.
Yeah, I think it's super important. At the Paley Institute, which I think they're, to answer the complication, I think Dr. Paley can fix anything. In fact, I think most people who have a complication go to the Paley clinic to get fixed. In terms of stretching, I think it's so important. There are people who can barely get past 90-degree knee bend. Now, what does that mean? It means you're laying on your stomach on the bench and your knee bend cannot go past 90 degrees. For Dr. Robbins and Dr. Paley, they need you to be at least at a 90-degree bend. Okay. If you're only reaching 90 degrees at the beginning of limb lengthening, you are going to have a very tough time getting through limb lengthening if they let you, which is, another reason why I went with Paley Institute, because they check on you every 2 weeks. You get x-rays every 2 weeks. You see Dr. Robbins every 2 weeks, and he looks at you and he touches you and he sees what's going on with your knees. So the importance of stretching is as you're distracting, you're becoming tighter and tighter. Your muscles are being pulled, your nerves are being pulled. And if you can't bend and stretch, if you're not stretching, and if you're not keeping up those angles, you're just going to get tight. And I think most people, from what I've seen, get really tight at the end around 7.5. And for me, especially even now, I'm just 1 month after, I've stopped turning. My left knee couldn't go flush when I was doing my knee extension. And so, of course, that's a little bit of an issue. You don't want to get any sort of muscle contractures or anything like that. And that's why I think that stretching every day, when Dr. Robbins says you have to stretch 2 to 3 hours a day, I don't think they just made that up from, space. That there's a reason for that. And I think it's very easy to go down this very slippery slope if you don't keep up with it. You could miss, for instance, when I had my 2 weeks of nerve pain, I was not great at PT. I went in every day. They could barely stretch me. I had nerve pain. And my flexibility decreased so quickly in those 2 weeks. But once I got on the Lyrica, my PT, my girl at Paley, Jess, she was on it, and we worked really hard on gaining it back. And in about a week, I gained most of it back. But you need to be able to keep your muscles, flexible as much as you can, which is why Victor talks about, pre-stretching. I tell anyone who wants to know, I did 2 months of pre-stretching at Stretch Lab, and I stretched my hamstrings every day for like half an hour or an hour. And I think that really gets you ready for the procedure. And that's what basically happens over the 3 months of distraction. If you're going for 8 centimeters, you're just getting tighter and tighter every single day.
Well said.
Okay, have you guys seen this guy on Instagram who got 10.5 centimeters at a questionable Turkish clinic and is now undergoing tibia lengthening with Dr. Betts? Like, do you have any thoughts on this?
He did 10 on his femur, and what was he? He's doing tibia. You know what it is?
Yeah,
No,
he's gonna try to go for another 10 on the tibias, but who knows?
10 on the tibias?
Yeah. It's that I just know from your Discord picture. I think his name is Le. I don't want to say his name, but it's Le and a T something.
Oh, is it him? I heard about him. Is he doing it now, or is this past?
Yeah, he's currently lengthening his tibias. He's like 3 centimeters so far.
And he's going for 10. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna go as much as he can, but he wants to hit 10.
Now that's where the patient, I think, that's.
But I mean, it's not completely this guy's fault, because the place is advertising that, right? So I'm seduced. Like I was gonna do it too, right? Yeah. You tell me I can do 10 in one segment and I only have to pay half the money, I'm going to do it. But then unless you research all of it and see all the bad stuff, it's very hard to get, because you want it so much. So you can't really always blame the patient too. It's just people are advertising these things.
I know.
And it's hard to just.
I think he's been around for a while.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know too much about him, but he probably knows better. So I do put some blame on the patient here. So it's like, if you did your femurs, you've definitely ran into some tightness there. I don't think you got through that 10 centimeters on your femurs, and then now you're going to go for 10 on the tibia, a smaller bone.
I think that's irresponsible. He's going to find out that's not going to, he's going to get some sort of Achilles tendon lengthening, soft tissue lengthening, and it's not going to be pretty. He's going to, and is he a young guy? I'm guessing he's going to get back to running, then he'll snap that and it'll rupture, and then he'll be sidelined. It's not good. It's not good. That's terrible. Richard, don't do that. That's
So what is the maximum that you would recommend?
I mean, again, it's going to depend on you and what your body can tolerate, and what the surgeon that you go with. But usually, the average that surgeons have found is safe is usually 4 to 5 on the tibia. Some patients are lucky; they work really hard and their body can tolerate a little bit more, like close to 5.5 or 6. Some maybe even more than that, but it just depends on how your body is responding to lengthening. You don't want to just say, "Oh, I'm going to get 6 because that's what everybody can get." No, it's what happens during lengthening. Lengthen and observe. Like literally, that's gold piece of advice there. But I could say that if you shoot for 4, if you're a hard worker, you'll get it, and then see what happens after that. You know, are you talking about tibia or femur?
Well, I actually plan to do both limbs. So
okay, so
Victor,
yeah.
I think it's very responsible, and I'll tell you what. You know, I was an athlete before, so I know I've been injured so many times. I've done the rehab, and even now, I mean, I still stretch. I still stretch about like an hour to around an hour and a half. During lengthening, I stretch 3 to 4 hours, even though I was only going 0.75. And I was able to maintain most of the flexibility. And Natalie, if you don't mind saying hi to Jess, because I love her. She was my PT as well. So if you don't mind, but you know, because she's awesome. But anyways, even now, I still stretch about an hour and a half, and I can tell you, this is going to take a long time to recover. And I only did 8 centimeters or less than 8 centimeters. So if you're doing that much, there's no possible way it's going to take you maybe longer than 2 years. And even then, I feel like, you know, I knew the consequences, but I can already tell my body will tend to minimize, like not, it doesn't want to. I constantly have to fight to have my muscles relax and release, you know, like lengthen, because they still don't want to. Even now, they fight me every single time, especially if I sit for too long, even though I stretch like an hour to an hour and a half every single day. So I can only imagine as you grow older, you know, this gonna have some effects if you don't do that. But if you do too much, I can't even imagine now. Like, you know, I feel my hamstrings tight. You know what I mean? So it's like, I only did space years. How can you do 2 segments? And you know, it's gonna take you forever to like recover, if you recover.
I agree, David. That's crazy. 10 centimeters on.
I also think proportions.
Yeah.
Like you don't really know it until you're in it, but like, yeah, you can start to look weird.
10 centimeters. That's like 4 inches on both. And he's talking. He did it on the femur, and now he's going for 4 on the tibia. That's 8 inches on just your legs.
With his he's a little too much legs. I think he had a bit of a short torso to begin with, so he kind of looks like an alien or something.
Yeah. Okay. So that almost warrants, because look, a long time ago with stature lengthening, cosmetic limb lengthening, surgeons, I know I tried to interview Dr. Walter Windish. He was actually working here in Baltimore with Dr. Paley before he went down to Florida, and he would screen patients for sanity to make sure that they were good up here before doing it. This guy definitely needs some screening, because it's like the clinics are just taking his money and like, let's go. But he needs to be checked.
Looking at his content, it looks like he made a pretty insane recovery, because with the questionable Turkish clinic, he ended up having like bowed hips, and he looked completely fucked up. But like he went to PT and became normal and was.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like 10 on the femur, it's much more tolerable than 10 on the tibia, because 10 on the femur is just too, like it's a little bit more than 8, right? Like you can recover. I don't get me wrong, it's a lot, but patients can recover from that. There's discrepancy patients that do a ridiculous amount, they can recover and whatnot. But like 10 on the tibia, that's completely different. We're talking completely different. Like he's not going to be okay after that. I can almost guarantee it. So don't do that, Richard. All right. Moving on here.
What's up?
David.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you answer that question?
Yeah, it's a bad idea. I did use, especially for dancing, because you know, you dance with a lot of girls, and some girls are tall. It tends to tighten your Achilles, and you'll hurt your Achilles, and it will tighten your hamstrings too. So it's kind of doing the opposite of what you want to do, which is have a pliable soft tissue. It will, especially if you do it over a long time, even an hour or two, it kind of does the opposite of what you want. So you gotta think about that.
I think
So
sorry, I can step in because I'm in heels all the time, but I took them off. And I also asked this question to the surgeon and me as well, because it was really stressing me out because no one actually knows my true height because I'm always on heels.
Yeah, but I can tell you. I mean, I went dancing.
Yeah.
I went dancing like maybe a month or so after I came back, and I used like a little bit of maybe like an inch and a half, and I could tell my hamstring paid a lot.
I
Like
think
it really got tight.
for people that are going to do tibias, you got to get off them very soon.
Yeah,
I mean, like after you do it, them you like you gained your height. That's it, and maybe even like.
But you're planning to do tibias too soon.
Yeah,
right? So I
after tibias. How about after tibias? That's what I'm asking.
After a few years, though. After a few years, you can't do it immediately. Like I went dancing maybe like a month ago, and I wear a little bit of lifts, and it really tightened my hamstrings for like almost 3 or 4 days.
Oh wow.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, it puts it into a pre-contracted position. But the one thing about that is maybe you could wear it for like an event, like if you're going to a birthday party or wedding, but then take it off after that. Like if it's just for like a short duration, sure. But like I wouldn't do it like all the time because then you do put it into a pre-contracted state.
It was weird because I was like, while I was dancing every other song, I was stretching and people were looking at me like, what the hell is going on with this guy?
Okay, so I'm asking why, because I used to wear lifts because the starting height was like really short and I had like really big lifts, and now like my shoes, they're like 2-3 size bigger because you need bigger shoes if you wear lifts. And if I take them out, I already did, so I need either to buy new shoes. That's I'm gonna do, and now I'm curious what kind of shoes should I buy. Can I still have like that 2.5 centimeter of lift? Or should I just like buy maybe shoes with the bigger sole, like maybe that with a wider sole?
That would be the best. There's certain companies like American Healers or Shoe Lift Express. If you go to them, you send them your shoe that you're going to be wearing out. They'll build up a sole and they can put it the same color, and that won't affect your Achilles at all. So you could do it that way. The sole is best.
Okay, that's good.
There's also a cheap one. There's like cheap ones in like it's a brand I use called Culto, and it's not as like elevated as some of the other heels, and it won't mess up your heels. It won't mess up your Achilles as much. But even then, it is a risk though. But that's something I use, and just big ass like Timberland boots, if you really want. And I've been wearing those for a while, and they're okay comfortable. But I mean, whatever Victor recommended is probably better.
Yeah, that company, Mariana for Shoe Lift Express, she actually was a lengthening patient. She teamed up with her dad and she created this shoe lift company, which builds up the soles, and they're fantastic. I think they ship worldwide, so it's pretty cool. All right, let's get back to some of these questions in here. Did you have any more, Ali?
Sorry?
Did you have any other questions?
No, yeah, maybe the last one. I remember there was a guy you posted his video like Socrates, right?
Socrates, yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take for him to walk after this, like 4.5 months or what?
Yeah, he was one of the faster groups. Yeah, he did full weight bearing at 4.5 months. Yeah, femurs 8 centimeters.
He did precise too, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay. So I just hope tomorrow is gonna be 5 months.
Fingers crossed.
Man, I walk a lot. Like I'm like look like soccer players like who work hard. I'm like an animal. Like I didn't miss a day. I'm like a beast. Yeah, like I didn't miss a day. Like I don't care. I just walk at night at 3 a.m. I go to garage and walk. I need to gain like minimum for like maximum 5,000 steps and do physio twice a day, like half an hour each. So it's 1 hour. And I just hope so I can walk because I'm really tired of these food deliveries here. They always mess up. Like I'm serious. Like I was like a few times. I just can't do it anymore. So I just hope tomorrow. Yeah.
I'm gonna be you very soon. Are you in the same location, or you moved back to where you're originally from? Like what province?
No, I'm in Montreal.
Oh, you're still there? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get back to some of these questions. So, we'll pray for you, Ali. That's
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna be
Natalie.
getting your food delivery soon. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you will experience the same. You will understand what I mean.
yeah, for sure.
Natalie, how much did you lengthen?
Huh?
This is
I got to 78.
Oh.
78. Okay.
Yeah,
very cool.
that was included. They do a millimeter in surgery, and I think I messaged you, Victor. I had been lengthening, and the nail was vibrating, and I could feel it vibrating in my bone with the ERC, and I was like, okay, that's my sign to stop. And so, I think it was just over 3 inches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
Quickly. Yeah. You said Natalie said about vibrating. What does it mean? I had vibrations too, and I asked my surgeon. She said it's okay, but don't worry.
For me, I just didn't like the feeling, and I think they say that the nail has reached its full extension almost. And there's also some people say that the ERC for the Precise 2 may not be reading accurately. So even though it's saying 77, it might be 78. Then you have the millimeter from surgery, because when you get the ERC, it doesn't say 1 millimeter on it. It says 0. So, exactly, I find it kind of interesting. The baseline, no one really told me what my starting height was. They're like, it doesn't matter. You're going to get 3 inches. It doesn't matter. And it's like the same with the nail. Oh, it doesn't matter how long it is. It's above 75. I'm sure you're fine. I'm like, all right.
So I really don't understand that. I've seen after the first X-ray, I think I have 0.3 millimeters the surgery initial gap or whatever is that, and I think my final was 8.5 because I did 8.2. But I was asking my surgeon if I gained 8.5, and she's like, no, you just have 8.2, and I'm just confused. And I also had this vibration when I was 7.7, I think. And I asked if it's okay. She said, yeah, it's fine. So I had those vibrations going straight to 8.2. And then I did the X-ray, standing X-ray. And she said, okay, you did 8.2. You're good. You did the full extension. That's what she said. So I was also worrying if one leg is 7.8, another leg is 8.1. I wanted be equal with both of my legs.
It should be equal. I'm not sure about the final equivalency, but I know that what in surgery, the surgeons will use a fast distractor. In invasive, they have this thing. I saw it because I've seen the surgery. They use it to test the nail, and they'll actually lengthen it a little bit. It's just testing the nail, right? So they'll give you a little gap. That's what it is. And you said it was 0.3. Usually it's about 0.1 to 0.3, and the nail already lengthened that amount, so you can't. So whatever out of if you said 8.2, really 8, I think it is, but whatever it is, it's
you already reached the stroke length of the nail. You already took part of it.
You already took that out of it. Yeah. So
okay.
then the vibration, like Natalie said, it's reaching its final stroke length. It's whether it got there and it's clicking, or if it's finally approaching. It's almost like if you unsheath something like the sword and it's kind of wobbling at the very end. It's the same thing with the nail. These are. Yeah, so that's what those are. Yep.
Another quick question. So it's kind of weird, but they, I think, forgot the lengthening device in my place. I messaged the guy last time before he said, yeah, we will come and pick up. And a week ago, he didn't even reply me. And I'm just curious. It's in the plastic suitcase, a case. Is it safe? It's a magnet, right? It's kind of strong magnet. There is no radiation, nothing. Is it safe to keep it at home for a long time? I put it in
Is it still there?
Yeah, in the cabinet. But is it safe? Because I might tell tomorrow my surgeon, hey, come please take it away if it's not safe. I don't know. Maybe it's radiation or something, because people said it's a strong magnet. So I'm kind of.
Oh, it's a strong magnet, all right, but it's completely safe. It's just a strong magnet. That's pretty much all it is. It's a digital.
So it's okay to keep it there, right?
What's that? Yeah, you can keep it there as long as you want. It's not going to do anything.
I was thinking to jog. I was like, look, if you don't want to take it, you can keep it until I'll do Tibia, in half a year. So.
Exactly.
I mean, if anyone knows where you live, you can somebody can take that and sell it for $20K.
That's a pricey penny right there.
Like, I'll take it for sure.
A pricey penny right there.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. We got a few more questions. I know we went over, but this is okay. We haven't done one of these in a while. Question for you: since you didn't do limb lengthening but discrepancy, would you do limb lengthening again to get taller by 2 to 3 inches? Would it be worth it? So, I mean, I did get taller because I fixed my discrepancy, which just under 2 inches, so the 4 centimeters on the tibia. I've had other broken legs, so being down and out in wheelchair and stuff is nothing new. Like the limb lengthening is not hard. It's just time consuming, and it's. I mean, it is hard, but what I'm saying is like it's not like it's impossible. But would I do it again? I don't know. Like I said, I have a big competition coming up, and I want to live life after that. But if they come out with if some big medical device company wants to partner with me and make a cyborg nail where I can get royalties for selling it, then I'll do it. I'll endorse my product. So
just take that ERC from me.
Yeah, me and Ali
at least reverse engineer that thing.
Exactly. So I always did want to be 5'11", so I'll say that I'm just under 5'9". I would love to be 5'11". So 6 centimeters on the femur. We're coming. All right, let's see. I want to do quadrilateral lengthening. Has anyone did quadrilateral at all? Yeah, there's been a lot of patients. Hold on, somebody's got to. Let me just knock Ali. Ali, I put you on mute. I think it was a little echo. No patients here have done it, but we have talked to patients who have done it. Nailed legs, above tempo. He's done it. There's been a handful of patients. But if you have a question, we can answer that. Let's get through some of these other questions. Cyborg Gal. Okay. All right. Give me your number. So I'm just kidding. Has anyone else had blurry vision or eyes weakness after surgery? Blurry vision. Natalie, did you have any blurry vision after your surgery?
No, I'm old, so I just always have blurry vision.
Okay. What about you, Ali? Did you have any blurry vision?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
You know what? I was just kind of scared after the surgery because I read on the forum on Discord. I don't use it anymore, like and before much, but I've seen some people say that they had troubles like pain after the femurs lengthening. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of scared, and they said you can walk right away, like with walker. She wants to walk to the people to walk in the corridor a few hours after the surgery, and I went to the toilet, and I was just scared, but everything was fine. So no, yeah, everything was okay. So that's the only thing I was really scared because I've seen somebody was messaging in the chat about that.
It depends where you go to. So
yeah.
Some people use catheters, and I don't think you got a catheter, right, Al?
No, I was afraid of that. I didn't want to use.
No, I think it depends on where you go. Like the place we are, they don't use it, but I think other places do. So.
Cool deal. All right, let's chop it through. We'll go for a few more minutes here. Let's try to get some of these questions because I don't want to leave anybody out. Steve Alroy is asking, what are your thoughts on the pricing of the surgery in the future, like in the next, I guess, 5 years? Do you think it'll become more expensive? I think there's a lot of contradiction with this question. I think more technology will make it more accessible, more surgeons coming in. They'll have different price ranges. I think it'll still be an expensive surgery. I just think that you'll see larger price ranges, and there's going to be some that commoditize it, others that keep it cream of the crop. So yeah, I think that's kind of how it is with this type of procedure. Let's see. When can you start wearing heels? They were talking about heels earlier, so go back and listen to that. What are you talking about? 3-week gap between the two surgeries at Paley, 6 on the femur, 4 on the tibia. What is he talking about here, Ali? You want to answer this one? He's talking about wearing heels after quadrilateral lengthening. I'm not sure. Just trying to answer it.
Between two surgeries at Paley 6. I know that's a question, so
I think. Yeah, it's like 2 questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll let that be. Go back, Genital, and listen to them. They were talking about heels earlier. Ginger Cat is saying that both of my legs popped pretty loudly when I reached 8 centimeters.
Oh yeah, mine too.
That's good. All right.
It's just the muscles. It's just the muscles being tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, it sounds like something's broken.
Yeah. They want me to interview somebody who's done arm lengthening. Does anybody know anybody that's done humerus lengthening? I don't honestly know anybody, but all right. We are going to wrap it up with this last question here from the teenage experiment. Does the ability to lengthen change from, I guess, ages 20 to 30? There's no way I can save enough money quickly enough to get this done in my early 20s, unfortunately. Look, I know for a fact that all the patients that I've talked to, I haven't seen bad recoveries, and I wouldn't even say they're bad recoveries, but I say like slower recoveries until over the age of like, I'd say 44 to like 49. Like that's the range that I see. Like if you're in your 30s going into your early 40s, you're going to heal. You're going to heal. Even I think there was several surgeons that said they had really old patients or patients that were older and they healed really well in their 60s. So there's a lot of things you can do to kind of work around that, but
yeah, I think you interviewed a few guys,
but I will say, but I will say that getting it done in your like late teens, like 18 to 23, 24, like when I got it, you do heal more rapidly. It's true. It's just a fact. And then like from, let's just say mid 20s through mid to late 30s, there's a kind of like an average. Some people are a little bit above average, and then it kind of slows off from there. So cool deal. All right. Anybody have any last comments? Richard, do you have any other questions before we wrap it up? Still there? Cool. Well, guys, this was an awesome roundtable. We'll have to do these more often. And I think that we'll do them maybe once a month or something like that. So MD, hopefully you get to your surgery. And
yeah, maybe I'll just be here. Hopefully the next time we're.
Yeah.
Is it scheduled, man, or not?
Yeah. No, it's scheduled.
For when? For what month?
April.
Oh, okay. So soon.
Yeah, in a few weeks.
It's coming up. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely be tasting your food, man.
Are you going to? Where are you going to stay?
The third option that they give you on the email.
The third option. So maybe I'll see you. Yeah.
Maybe
are you in the third option? No, you're on the second option, I believe, right? Get offline.
So is it like 1300 or not?
No, yes, it is.
Okay, so yeah, I'll see you. I'll be probably walking, hopefully, by that time.
Okay, we're gonna be learning together. Great.
Hopefully tomorrow, Ali. We'll pray for you, man. But
wait, I'm gonna come get your ERC for sure.
Oh yeah.
Let me know where it is.
Yeah,
man, if I'll be leaving, I might just resell it to you and go on from Canada.
30K.
I spent my money on
so actually, sorry, just like a quick last question. I know it's like it might be weird, but still. So for Victor, with the starting height, with your experience, you met lots of patients with a starting height of 5'3", did already femurs for 3 inches, so 8 centimeters. What is like in general you think is a good possible amount for tibia to stay not super athletic but be normal? Because I want to understand if it's like 4 centimeters, it might not worth paying these amounts.
No. I
mean, if I can do 5 or 6, then
you can definitely do. I think 4. You can. I'm just saying 4 is very doable. I'm just saying anything after that, it's how hard you work. And look, if you're going to a good surgeon like I think you are, I think you can definitely achieve more. I'm talking about myself and my athleticism, which is I it's very high.
You're more to
yeah, but if you're talking about like, hey, I'd rather care about like my height, and again, I'm just saying staying more conservative is the better approach. But I'm not saying that you won't recover and do amazing things. There's been patients all over that have done 6.5 on the tibia and done all kinds of stuff. I saw one guy jumping off a diving board. So it's crazy things. So you can definitely do things. So
6 is possible, right? 6. So it's gonna be 14 in total.
I don't want to say it's possible because I don't know what's your body, but has it been done before? Yes.
Yeah, it's been done before, but always patient dependent.
It's patient dependent. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So it's probably worth it because I was like, if it's 4.
No.
Hey, I'm trying to do the exact same thing you are with the same surgeon. I'm gonna aim more for that. So I think it's possible. I think I've seen it before. So and
Okay.
I know I trust reliability, and I think it's reliably possible, but I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee anything for myself or you, but I'm gonna aim for it too. So
yeah,
I
but
think-
we can maybe talk later when I'll see you here. So yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you.
Lengthen and observe. Appreciate you coming on, Natalie, David, Richard, lots of all you guys. Master Distractor, Ali. Thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.